presented by Prize Picks. $100 match on your first deposit. Welcome to Light Years. Today I got a special guest. You might remember him from last year, longtime listeners. Called his shot in the draft. In my opinion, one of the best at projecting college players, who's going to be an NBA guy, who's not. It's Ant Wright. Before I get Ant on here, though, I got to give him the distinction of being the only person to call the Trayce Jackson Davis pick last year. So I'm going to play this from an episode literally 365 days ago, late May, a month before the draft. None of those guys, by the being long development, like that, none of that's surprising given how much they played.
Right. And then Patrick Baldwin Jr., he was injured when he was at Milwaukee. Shouldn't even gone there. 1 year guy. I want them to go with someone who's 3-4 years, who's 22, 23. I think they should get Trayce Jackson Davis.
Ooh. Okay. Give me the scouting report, because I'm gonna be honest, I thought you were gonna go Chris Murray.
No.
Because that's been like that's a fun name, and obviously doesn't hurt that his brother, can play.
Listen,
but yeah.
He's guys who produced and are older in college translate very well to the league. That's one. Two.
That's Draymond and Clay and Steph.
Two, and Steph, right? And two, he is 6'9". He is incredibly athletic. You're talking about rim protector, can guard multiple positions. Incredible passer. I believe he averaged like 4 or 5 assists. One of the best passing big men in all of college last year. Rebounding machine. If you're talking about someone who you need to come in for Looney, like he'll be able to play right away. That's
calling your shot, my man. It's like it's like Babe Ruth pointing. You called the shot right there, and you know what? You were right. Trayce was able to play, even though I thought he should have got more rotation minutes early in the season. By the end of the season, he had supplanted Looney in the rotation, and I think most Warrior fans would say they're expecting, 20 minutes per game out of him next year. Definitely a great pick on the Warriors side. Yeah, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for that clip. It was definitely fun. I have receipts for a lot of draft stuff, and I just remember last year I was absolutely obnoxious during the draft, seeing all these mid-ass big men getting picked over him in the first round and like early second, and I'm like, yo, there's going to be a redraft, and he's going to be like a top 15 guy from this draft for sure. And nothing surprised me. It was just a matter of him doing what I knew that he could do, and the Warriors used him accordingly, which is, sometimes that doesn't always happen, right?
Yeah.
But that was awesome year for him, and I'm excited for year 2.
No, it's everything you said was true. His skills, it's just perfect fit for the Warriors, because passing is a very important element of what Warrior bigs have to do. But then he had the qualities that none of their current bigs had, which was added size and athleticism. They are an older team. They can use as much athleticism as they could find, fit like a glove. Perfect find. And so I feel like that segues us into this. Look, the Warriors don't have a first-round pick.
Yeah.
In general, I'm opposed to doing second-round pick projection podcasts. Like, it's a waste of time. Second-round picks don't usually play. Warriors probably have bigger fish to fry. But Dunleavy has shown us he can find players later in the draft that will contribute. And while I still think the Warriors need to add an impact player at the top of the roster, they also just need players. And if they can use their second-round pick to find another Trayce Jackson Davis, someone, not someone we think is going to be the next Klay Thompson or Draymond Green or Steph Curry, but someone who can fill into the rotation, be an eighth man. give you 15 minutes, be a shooter off the bench, be a energy big, be a good backup ball handler, whatever it may be, just someone who can play in your rotation. Those things matter. You're seeing it when you watch the playoffs. Teams without depth tend to fall apart. So with that said, I'm going to give you the floor, Ant. All right, you're Mike Dunleavy. Warriors picking number 52. Obviously, this player has to fall to 52. So where's your head at of guys who you think would hit what I think they need, which is someone who can play in the rotation within a year?
We talked and I was like, I got some names, and then I really did more of a deep dive because there's one thing about this draft, and we talked about it offline, is that it is like there's so many players that are rotational, and as you said, like there's not going to be that franchise guy in this draft. I think there's maybe one or two, but those guys are in the top. They're going to be picked like top 10.
Right.
But there's several names that kind of came up and that I'm looking at really hard, and players that I think that they should really consider. I know someone like Bobby Clinton falls in that range. Kid from Wake, and then he transferred, and then he went out to like Cairns Tappan or something like that. Someone like that is like 6'10", 6'11" wingspan. He's a little too jump shot happy, too passive, doesn't really get rim pressure. He's probably going to get picked in that second round area. I don't like that for the Warriors. I need someone with some type of juice, so I don't like him.
Okay.
So just trying to give guys like who are in that zone who I don't think would fit well. Did you talk about the AJ kid? I think you mentioned him before, right?
To be clear, I've talked about no one at this point. So the floor is yours to take in any direction you want.
Got you. And then another guy like AJ Mitchell from Santa Barbara. Little small. That's the only thing, man. If he was 6'6", I would probably like him a lot more. But he can definitely play. Little small. I'm not sure if you would go for that, but here are the guys who I like. One is Coleman Hawkins, from Illinois. It's a point forward. 6'9", 6'10".
We love point forwards.
Yeah, point forwards. And one thing about him is that he's going to guard, and he's someone who will. He's going to do what the coach wants him to do. He can guard the 1 through 4. He had to guard Zach Edey at the 5 a lot last year. He had to guard some really big dudes over the years, but 1 through 4 he can guard. He can guard on ball. He can guard off ball. He can be in help defense. His shooting, I believe, will translate, because if you've watched him play, you know that some of the threes that he takes are like step backs from like 28, and he still shoots at a decent clip. The offense that they ran, he has not had a real point guard the last 2 years, and he's still able to produce offensively on his own. And he's had to run the point forward some. That's why his turnovers were up quite a bit. Not last year, but the year before. He also plays with spice. Like, he's a lot of energy, and some people can chalk it up to immaturity, but he brings that. I think every team needs that guy that screws a little loose, right? That's him. He's not quiet. Very energetic.
Draymond's a mentor.
You love him. Yeah, exactly, right? Like someone like Draymond, he's gonna mix it up. Pat Bev is gonna mix it up. Coleman, he can turn into that guy who is just an asshole on both ends, but extremely just like really team oriented. He's not worried about his own stuff. Swiss Army knife. He could do so many things. Many things.
Let me ask a couple questions here, because one, Big Ten guy, for those who don't know, Big Ten is Ant's forte more than any league. That's your home base. That's what we'll call
100%.
it.
100%.
That's home base there. So 4 years, I like that. 4-year starter or 3-year starter? Sorry.
I
So a
believe
lot
he was
of
a 3-year starter.
yeah, and
sure.
I'm looking at it right now. 3-year starter, a lot of game time. The first question that pops to mind is the shooting for me.
Mhm.
He shot it well his last year. The other years, he did not shoot it particularly well. So while I
Yeah.
take all of that with a grain of salt and you can't improve, I think that's probably the swing thing. Like if you believe in the shot, 6'10", high energy, and can shoot it, like your worst case is Bobby Portis for something like that.
Yeah.
If he can actually shoot the ball, and that's a 10-year rotation player that every team would want. And I'm not saying he's going to be that. I'm just trying to think of guys who you said screw loose. So that's the first thing I thought of. That and like legitimate offensive talent. Like the dude can
a lot of
score the ball.
passion. He
Yeah.
plays with a lot of passion, and I think that kind of gets lost with this new age of cool players who are too cool to act like they're playing hard. It's really weird, you know. It's like, I'm going through the motions. I'm doing my thing.
We're just old men now.
Right, exactly. Right. It's, old man yells that cloud deal. But I just think he translates at a super high level, man. Super high level. So like
I'm looking at his measurements here.
And just catch and shoot threes unguarded, he shot 40 to 41% last year. And for me, I think those are really important stats for someone like him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he did struggle the year before, but the year before there were so many chemistry issues with that Illinois team from top to bottom. It was really, really bad. But if he's going to go to somewhere like Golden State, I think all the things that he does well are going to be even better. And I think a couple of his flaws are going to improve to be just on par.
Couple things to call out. I'm looking at his measurements at the combine, and they are almost identical to Trayce Jackson Davis. They both measured 6'8" and a quarter without shoes, which is to say they're 6'9", 6'10". 7-foot wingspan, 8'11" standing reach, so almost 9-foot standing reach. Basically, he measures almost identical to Trayce. Trayce thicker, of course. Trayce 240, Coleman more 220. So maybe more of a 4 instead of a 5, which Trayce is. But it's good to kind of have that comp to know like how big we're talking about. One of the most obvious flaws the Warriors have is they just lack positional size.
Yeah.
They're kind of small. So anytime you can get a player who has appropriate size for their position with the skill to go with it, that helps.
He's plug and play for me. I mean,
compare him to
the 3 or the 4.
That's interesting. I'll get back to that in a second. Compare him readiness-wise to someone like Trayce. I know different skill sets, different players, but you were very adamant that Trayce was ready to play in the NBA, and you were right. Even if it took Steve half the year to put him in the rotation every night, when he got in there, he produced, and once he got the continued role, he took off. So,
two of the biggest things with Coleman is strength and maturity.
Okay.
In my opinion, if he can get those under control, if he can really hone in on those two things, I think he can play towards the end of next year the same way that Trayce did. But those are two big things because yes, he's big, but he's got to be able to handle grown men who are 6'8", 6'9", right?
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. And I think I told you the other day, like I'm watching Jaden McDaniels play, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of Coleman there. It's a lot of Coleman there.
Now you're getting me excited. So you opened with the point forward stuff and the passing and the shooting. Both are very important. Like it's hard to get on the floor for Steve Kerr if you don't have a certain amount of basketball IQ. And you can't play a certain amount of read and react basketball.
Yeah.
But you're mentioning his defense. You're saying he could guard the 2, 3, 4. Talk to me about talk to me a little about his defense here, because I was thinking more of a stretch four in the traditional sense. Usually those guys, you're kind of hoping for average defensively. I threw up Bobby Portis's name. Obviously, he's not known for defense in any capacity. You seem to tell me what you think about his defense, because Jaden McDaniels, in my opinion, might be the best one-on-one wing defender in the league.
Yeah, I think I'm not saying that Coleman that's him, but in terms of like traits and prototype, I've seen Coleman. Man, I got to pull a game and I'm going to cut it up within the next week, and I'm going to post it, and I'll tag you in it. But I remember watching the game, and after the first half, I tweeted out, I'm like, this game is going to get him some money. Like, he made some money in this first half just from what he's doing on defense. I mean, this dude was guarding 6'11", 250-pound bigs, handling them. Next thing you know, he's guarding a guard, stripping them, diving on the floor, getting jump balls, and just screaming and talking shit to fans the whole time. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. And I think that he will embrace that tenfold if he's in the league. I mean, he can guard so many positions, and I think from a confidence standpoint, he thinks so too. And if that's his responsibility, he's going to take full ownership of that.
I mean, I love everything I'm hearing. Not only is he like positionally probably one of their biggest needs, but attribute and skill. It's just everything they want. Like, this team, I don't want to say they lack dog, but they often do. They often lack, like, if Draymond's not kind of up everyone's ass, they can play pretty lackadaisical basketball. Maybe some of it's because they're old as hell. Yeah, and that's the other. That's a problem there. And then, just overall, like, very, very intriguing here. I want to get to some other players, but before we do that, I want to tell you guys all about our friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It's the most fun, exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats with a shot to win up to 100x your cash. Prize Picks had the most fun I've had playing basketball this season. Look, guys, Warriors kind of sucked. They lost in the play-in. I had to find other ways to put juice on the game, make it a little more exciting. Also, conference finals, Warriors not in it, so I'm making my money on, betting some overs on Kyrie, some unders on Gobert, just having a little fun here. It's a great way to kind of stay engaged. And if nothing else, everyone likes winning. Everyone likes seeing, like, okay, we got over 30 points plus assists for Kyrie. Am I feeling that matchup or am I against it? Let's have some fun with it. So it's a good time, easy to play. And most importantly, Prize Picks will give you $100 match with your first deposit. That's it, guys. All you got to do, download the app today, use the promo code LIGHTYEARS for your first deposit, put $100 in, and they will match it up to $100. It's easy. It's free money. Let's have some fun, guys. Also, whether you're a world-class athlete or a podcaster like me, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by the Energy Enhancement System, or EES system. If you haven't heard of the EES system yet, you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. Whether you're here in the Bay Area or hundreds of other locations across the globe, access to a center is easy and affordable. Interested in experiencing the EES system technology for yourself? Go to unifiedhealing.com/lightyears to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/lightyears. Okay, Ant, you got me all excited on Coleman Hawkins. I want to throw a curveball at you.
Okay.
So we know particularly in the second round, there's always dozens of trades. And a lot of times they're minimal ones. Hey, give me $1 million cash and I'll swap the 42 for the 52 pick. You oftentimes will see teams pay money to move up in the draft because they're like, that's our guy. I don't want to take a chance that they're going to take him. Let's get up to 38. Let's get him. The Warriors specifically have shown that they're willing to buy picks, get into the second round, take guys. Sometimes it works out for them. Sometimes it doesn't. And often it's somewhere in between. Guys like Jordan Bell, Patrick McCaw, Ryan Rollins, we're all, and of course my guy, Alan Smiley-Geach, we're all bought picks, all to varying degrees. Guys like McCaw and Bell did help in championship seasons, even if they didn't live up to the hype. But the point is, the Warriors have this track record of doing this, and I would not be surprised, considering they don't have a first-round pick, if they're targeting someone and they're just like, you know what, if it costs us $2 million to ensure we get him, let's get up there and get him. So if we take number 52 out of it, and let's assume the Warriors can get up to 35, okay? So basically opening up the whole second round to you. Who would you target? Who are some guys you think, man, that guy's a perfect fit for the Warriors?
I've been looking at a couple guys. I would say, do you know this kid from France? I'm not sure if he's going to be available there, but if you guys, but this dude will fit. Salon, Tajane Salon. It's about 6'9". It's about 6'9". He moves really, really well. He is, I believe, on the younger side, but that's someone who I do like. Another kid I like who, just full disclosure, I think Coleman's a first round talent. Okay. Full disclosure, I think this other guy's a first round talent, Tyon Grant Foster. I think he's a first round talent. He may go undrafted, because he has medicals from like a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
But which is weird that they're pushing Bronny when he just had a medical from the fall. Doesn't make any sense. So with the Tyon Grant Foster kid from Grand Canyon, is about 6'6", 6'7", very Karis LeVert type. Okay. Wing smooth. Can really, smooth. I am, if you guys don't know me, I am really high on guards who can create a lot of rim pressure in college. Just from how the defense is, because they can throw 1-2 guys at you at every level, right? That doesn't happen in the league because there's so much spacing. So if you can get to the cup against that, you can get to the cup in the NBA. There's a reason why guys say it's easier to score in the NBA than in college. It's because of how the defense is set up. Tyon Grant Foster is about 6'6", 6'7", very smooth. Very, very smooth. He's someone who is also older. I believe this was like his 5th or 6th year
24
guard. He's someone who could play. How Moses was more of like a spot up guy?
Yeah.
Tyon is just a scorer. He's just a scorer, just a pure scorer. His jump shot efficiency was a little bit low, but you could see the potential there. I remember Donovan Mitchell coming out. His was not very efficient, but you see it translated well. So I like Tyon Grant Foster as well here. There's people are low on him. I'm higher on him. Also Iguodala, I'm not sure where people are going to take him. That's why this draft is so weird, man. It's like you could see someone go 20 or go 50 and you wouldn't be shocked. Right. But also Iguodala from Marquette can't really shoot, but he's very like he ran point forward a lot for Marquette when Tyler Kolek was out. Handled the basketball, is about 6'9", 6'10", can really handle the rock, brings the ball up the court, can create a little bit off the bounce. I'm interested to see if his game can kind of expand. It's tough because this draft, if you, as you said, if there's a guy that you want, just go get him. There's no reason to wait at 52. Like, there's none. If you want to move up to 32 to get your guy, go get him. Go get him.
And I think they will, because it seems like most teams are kind of viewing this draft as not a, I don't want to say not a weak draft, but like there's not a lot of like, we got to hold on to our pick for any circumstance, particularly in the second round. There should be some opportunity for them to do so. Cool.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about a couple names, because I've done a little scouting, a little YouTube scouting, checking out some mocks. You know,
Right.
You watch YouTube for 5 minutes, you read some mocks, you think you're the next Chad Ford, whatever it may be, whoever the current draft guru is. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys about Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, MLB, and all other sports leagues, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer you get to tip-off. Look, it's baseball season in the Bay Area, and I can tell you from browsing this, you can find some amazing last-minute deals to Giants or A's games. I was looking at Giants tickets for today, Monday, and I was seeing $28. Giants, Phillies. Like, Phillies are the hottest team in baseball. That should be, and it's Memorial Day. That should be a very hot ticket. But on Game Time, you can find some pretty affordable tickets last minute right there. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LIGHTYEARS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LIGHTYEARS. That's LIGHTYEARS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guarantee. Everyone likes a deal, man. Everyone likes to get a deal on tickets. Okay, let me ask you about some other names here. Here's my YouTube scouting. You tell me about some of these players, and I'm going to start with like obvious ones that were on big time programs that I'm sure people know. What about Harrison Ingram? Harrison Ingram, obviously, for those who don't know, North Carolina, 3 years, junior. He's a junior, yeah.
Stanford for 2.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Texas, former 5-star. I believe he was at McDonald's.
6'6", 6'7". No, 6'7". Combine
Yeah, he's about
stuff.
6'6", 6'7".
230.
Big. Yeah, all of 230. Yeah, all of 230. Big dude.
Yeah, he's got kind of like a I don't even know who I want to compare it to, but like a Grant Williams or PJ Tucker type of build to him, where you're like you're not moving that guy easy, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. Highly skilled.
7-foot wingspan. So
yeah, highly skilled. One of my favorite prospects coming out of high school, man. I don't know why he went to Stanford, waste his time over there. He's so highly skilled, man. Like he is good off the ball, but when you start putting him in pick and rolls and you really let him start making decisions, really great passer, great vision, not an elite athlete. His feet are a bit slow defensively, so I'm kind of wondering who he's going to guard. That's probably my biggest concerns with him. But
is that why he's probably trending second round? Because he's got like the prototypical wing body.
Yeah.
And he, to your point, he's very skilled. So you'd think that's a first round pick.
Yes. And it's because of his feet and his athletic ability. That's the only reason why. But my only pushback would be, if you can hoop, you can hoop. Like, I was high on Kenneth Lofton Jr. from Louisiana Tech coming out. People were like, no way he makes the NBA. I'm like, I'm like, this is an NBA player. I don't know for how long, but he's going to be on an NBA team. He goes undrafted. People are in my mentions. You don't know what you're talking about. What ends up happening? He ended up getting guaranteed money and all that stuff. If you can play, you can play. Point blank period. And I think teams are going away from the raw potential, which I love. And, I just don't.
You'd rather have Coleman Hawkins on the Warriors?
The what now?
Would you rather have Coleman Hawkins if you're the Warriors?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. As much as I love Harrison Ingram as a basketball player, I don't think I like him for you guys.
That's fair.
And I think fit also matters a ton in this. I just don't like him for you guys.
That's fair. That's why I'm having you on, because like I said, when I get my YouTube scouting hat on, he looks perfect. He looks like exactly what the Warriors are missing on the wing, which is a guy with prototypical wing size, but kind of the IQ to connect the Warriors offense. Obviously, the Warriors have Kuminga and Wiggins, who have all the physical talent in the world, but I don't think anyone's mistaken them for like Andre Iguodala in terms of thinking the game and kind of applying their skill in other ways. A player who I do think of that way, this is just way unfair, by the way, for me to say that, but a player I do think of who reminds me of a Warriors style guard or wing is Kevin McCullough Jr. from Kansas. Kansas. 4-year player, 23. I'm assuming that's the biggest reason he's mocking early second, maybe late first. Honestly, I don't know if the injuries. I don't know if the Warriors can kind of get high enough to get him, but he just strikes me as like 6'6" guy who they can run offense through, who can defend. He just reminds me of so many Warriors players in general. Tell me, where do you stand on him?
He should have been an All-American, and he was probably going to be an All-American until he got hurt. And it was a back and forth thought if he had shut it down, and he could have came back. So that's been like the talk of Kansas a little bit. But he's a great defender. Arguably, it was back and forth for a while. I was always a Dalton Connect guy. So my agenda was always Dalton Connect's going to win. That was my thing. Like all off season was Dalton Connect's going to be Player of the Year. I think he was second. Like him and Dalton Connect were like right there at the top wings, and Terrance Shannon Jr. was like right there at third. But if you're looking at someone like he's elite defender. I don't know if the jumper translates. I think he can score.
That sounds like a Warrior then.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that translates, but he is someone who, wherever he goes, he will have an opportunity early to play. I'm not sure about the longevity though. Just because of his style of play is kind of rough around the edges, a little bit, kind of raw, but you can't argue his competitive nature,
Okay. Couple guys who popped at the combine a little bit. Obviously they have the physical tools, and now the most trendy thing is like, can you find the next Herb Jones? Herb Jones, obviously second rounder, one of the best wing defenders in the NBA. If everyone knew he was going to become this, he goes in the top 10, right? So, Ryan Dunn from Virginia and Jalen Bridges from
Baylor.
Yeah.
Baylor.
Both guys who
was at
are
Washington.
Yeah. I don't even bother with the transfer. I just go with their most recent.
Sorry,
cool.
I try to pay attention as much as I can, though.
That's good. So both of them are like bigger wings, right? Like they're both like 6'7", 6'8", on the taller side. Maybe not bigger. They're not like, but taller wings, prototypical what you're looking for physical measurements wise in terms of that guy who's going to guard a Luka, who's going to guard a Tatum. like these elite wings in the league
Yeah.
have those measurements. And from my knowledge, both of them were not particularly strong offensive players in college. Like defense was their calling card. They're both guys who mocks are showing anywhere between 30-ish to 50-ish. So potentially in the Warriors range. What are your thoughts on them?
If you're okay with non-shooters coming in, I would go with Oso over both of those guys.
Okay.
If you're okay with a non-shooter coming in, I would go with Oso over both. I don't mind going defense. And I like getting specialists in, which is cool, but at some point, you're gonna want something offensively. And
even Herb Jones developed.
I loved Herb and I loved Herb in
shot, and he was always kind of a underrated passer. So he had something to work with offensively.
I loved Herb Jones in college. Herb was like a point forward in college.
Yeah.
Like he's coming off ball screens. Do you know the dribble drive offense?
Yeah.
How you have like two guards up top, two forwards in the corner, and then the big goes from like short corner to short corner, and the two guards up top just dribble and drive and operate and play off each other.
Mm-hmm.
Herb was so good that Nate Oates flipped him.
Oh, okay.
Flipped him, and he put the 5 up top with Herb Jones, and Herb Jones was coming off beating his man to the basket, and they were rim protecting with like guards. It was pretty sick. I loved Herb Jones coming. I can't believe it's crazy to see how some of these dudes just drop to the second in the people's laps. It's amazing. You see how certain teams stay in purgatory and don't win anything.
The allure of upside is intoxicating, but it also gets you fired. And I think this is going to be one of those drafts where, like, it's a lot of, I don't know who the best player is, so I'm going to draft this teenager with tools and we'll make them into it. And, every now and then you get a Giannis that way, but more often than not, you get a Jan Vesely. So, it's kind of like it's.
I have a question for you.
Let's go for it.
I'm going to put you in like a really tough spot, so I do apologize for this. The Warriors base and their people more than I do, way more than I do.
Sure.
Terrance Shannon Jr. has that case going on right now. So Terrance Shannon Jr. has a rape case going on right now. He was charged. The trial is like around June 10th, I believe. He's a first round guy. I'm looking at this case. I'm seeing it can go like there's a really good chance he gets off of this. What would the perception be for someone like him if he were to go at 52? Because he drops, because of all this off-court stuff. Oh, you're breaking up. I can't even hear you.
Sorry about that. I'm work on my editing there. My computer completely shut down. So I heard your question. Your question is, would the Warriors take?
Would they? Yeah. So would they take Terrance Shannon Jr. because of what's going on with him And
my instinct is no.
okay,
They tend to play it pretty safe on that sort of stuff. But Anthony Lamb was on the roster the year prior, and
yeah,
he had a similar controversy. It wasn't being investigated by the authorities the way
yeah.
this is. It's very different in that regard.
His
So
trial is June 10th.
yeah, and maybe if he was to get cleared and they felt very comfortable with what happened, they would do it. That they felt comfortable with the Anthony Lamb situation because
Yeah.
the intel they had said more or less that his story, they believed his story more than the accuser's story. So I guess they're not afraid to do it, but if you're asking me just on face value, knowing nothing, I
Mhm.
would guess they're far more likely to say no than say yes
Okay.
to putting themselves in that situation. This is also, yeah, that's just my guess on it because it sounds to me like what you're saying. And again, I really very mad at my computer for what just happened. It sounds to me like you're saying if none of this was going on and there were no questions, he's a clear first round talent.
Clear. I mean, we're talking probably in the teens. In the
Okay.
teens, if not higher. I've seen him mocked in like the top 10 until all this stuff started happening.
Okay.
So I mean, he's a clear, like, yeah. And then, like, of course, since I'm like a Big Ten guy, I have a decent Illinois community, and I'm keeping tabs of like all the stuff going on with that trial, and
Sure.
and all the stuff that's coming in is like publicly available, which is great. And I just don't see this. Like, I'm sorry if I'm speaking too early. Like, just from seeing all the evidence and reading everything and all this paperwork, I don't see anything coming from this.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
but yeah, like that will be someone also, if he ends up getting cleared, I will trade up for at 30 something to get, especially if teams are like I don't know, because this stuff happened. And
you're going to have to be comfortable with negative publicity, even if he is completely exonerated and, all the charges were false and everything about his story is true. And again, I don't know anything about it, but even if all that's true, we know what the media landscape is. It's gonna be around his name no matter what.
Absolutely.
So you're gonna have to be comfortable with that. I don't know. I like I said, my gut instinct is I think the Warriors are the type of organization that's like, we can't. But at the other end of the spectrum, maybe. It's too early for me to say. But
yeah.
And
after the trial,
sure.
well, because if he gets cleared, he's not getting past the first round. So it's
Gotcha.
kind of like that, so it's kind of a moot discussion. I just realized.
So it sounds like to me, I want to wrap right here. It sounds to me you think Coleman Hawkins, by the way, for those who don't know, from SAC, so relatively local, and went to prolific prep in Napa. So we'll call him a local kid. Sounds to me like you think he's probably the best play for this team.
Yeah, we'll love Coleman Hawkins for you guys. I would love Oso for you guys. I would love Tyon for you guys. Any of those three, really, I'd be down for 100%.
Sweet. Ant, where can people find your draft work and musings between now and draft night?
I mean, just go to my Twitter. Everything is on there. It's Ant Wright. And whether it's a video or whether it's just me talking about draft prospects, or in spaces, I try to be as involved as possible. But yeah, I'm there. I'm on YouTube. I'm on TikTok whenever I have time. And yeah, it's Ant Wright pretty much everywhere you need.
Appreciate you.